Yes, hello. Good evening to all of you. Good evening, Dadan. Good evening to all of you. Everyone, please, everyone, please confirm that am I audible? Am I visible clearly to all of you? Everyone, please confirm in the chat box. Am I audible? Am I visible clearly to all of you? Everyone, please confirm. Am I audible? Am I visible clearly to all of you? Audio video is clear to everyone. Please confirm in the chat box. Dadan, please confirm. Am I audible? Am I visible clearly to all of you? ऑडियो वीडियो इज क्लियर. वेरी गुड. हाउ आर यू ऑल? कैसे हैं आप सभी लोग? गुड इवनिंग पूजा. गुड इवनिंग. हाउ आर यू ऑल? Okay. So I hope you all are good and preparing well for your exam. And in the last class, we were covering the topic, we were discussing the topic that was compass surveying. And in the last discussion, we have discussed about the various types of the compass. We have discussed some important terminology like bearing and meridian. And we have discussed about the true meridian. We have discussed about the magnetic meridian. And related to that, we have measured the bearings, and that was true bearings and magnetic bearings. Then we have discussed about how we can represent the bearing. So there we have discussed about two methods. First was the WCB, whole circle bearing system. In that system, we were measuring the bearing of any line from the north in the clockwise direction. And to represent the bearing of any line in the WCB system, only angle will required, and the range of the bearing in the WCB system was 0 to 360 degree. Similarly, in the case of RB or QB system, we can measure the bearing of any line from the north or from the south. From where the line will be near, we will measure the angle in the north or south. So that's why the measurement can be in the clockwise direction or it can be in the anti-clockwise direction in the case of RB or QB system. So whenever we will represent the bearing of any line in the RB or QB system, we will also mention the direction, that we will measure the angle from the north to east or north to south, or from south to east and south to west, north to east or north to west, or south to east or south to west. These direction we need to mention. So if I talk about the bearing of any line in the case of RB or QB system, it will vary from 0 to 90 degree. This was the discussion. Then we have discussed the concept of magnetic declination. Magnetic declination was the horizontal angle between the true meridian and magnetic meridian. We have discussed about the two types of the declination: eastern declination, positive declination, or clockwise declination. And we have discussed about the western declination, anti-clockwise declination, or you can say the negative declination. All these points we have covered. Yes. So if we know the declination, if we know the magnetic bearing, so we can find out the true bearing. So based on that, we have also solved some example. And the next topic that was related to the variation in the declination. So on the daily basis, the variation that we are observing, that variation we can consider as the diurnal variation. On a yearly basis, the variation that we are observing in the declination, that we can consider as the annual variation. Over a long period of time, the variation will occur, that will be considered as the secular variation. And if the variation is having without any pattern, so that variation we can consider as the irregular variation. So this was the discussion related to the magnetic declination. And the last topic that we have covered, that was the angle of dip or angle of depression. So it is the vertical angle between the earth surface and magnetic flux line. How we have defined the angle of dip or angle of depression? So it is the vertical angle that we are measuring from the earth surface to the magnetic flux line. So at the poles, if we talk about the angle of dip or angle of depression, it will be 90 degree. If I talk about the equator, the angle of dip is going to be 0 degree, and at any other position apart from the equator and the poles, the angle of dip will vary from 0 to 90 degree. So this was the discussion in the compass surveying till the last class. So prismatic compass was based on the whole circle bearing system, and surveyor compass was based on the RB or QB system. So whatever readings we will get with the help of the prismatic compass, that reading we will get in the case in WCB system, and if we are working with the surveyor compass, the reading that we will get in RB or QB system. So this was the discussion in the last class related to the compass surveying. I hope you all are clear with all the concepts. So first, please confirm in the chat box whatever concept that we have covered related to the compass surveying as of now is clear to everyone. All the basic terminology is clear to everyone related to the compass surveying. So if anyone having any doubt at any concept that we have covered till now, you can ask your doubt, you can ask your query. Everyone, please confirm in the chat box. The discussion is clear to everyone. Dadan, all the points are clear, beta. All the points are clear, and we have quickly revised all the topics also. Okay, so now let's move further. Now we are moving for the field survey. In the field, how we can perform the measurement with the help of the compass? We will use the prismatic compass. And how we can record the field data? How we can prepare the field book? How we can measure the angle, and how we can collect all the information for the preparation of the map. Now we are going to discuss that part, and that will be the today's discussion. What are the various measurements that we will do in the case of compass surveying? So in the today's class, we are going to discuss about the measurement in the compass surveying. From this topic, you will get the idea about the field work of the compass. So we will discuss the concept of the forebearing, we will discuss the concept of the back bearing, and we will discuss the concept of the included angle. Okay, definitely you can ask your doubt whenever you are having any difficulty, whenever you are having any doubt and any query, you can ask your doubt. Okay, no problem with that. So let's see what was the basic that we have covered. So in the case of compass surveying, yesterday we have discussed in the case of compass surveying, the main objective is to measure the bearing of the line. What is the sighting and ranging, that you will get today. While I will explain the concept of the field work of the compass surveying, that is the next discussion. So what is the concept of the sighting and how the ranging rod is going to useful, that point is going to be clear. Don't worry for that. Yes. So what was the basic objective of the compass surveying, can you tell? For example, in the case of chain survey, in the case of tape survey, what was the basic objective? So if I talk about the chain survey or tape survey, the main objective was to measure the horizontal distance. If I talk about the chain survey or tape survey, The main objective was to measure the horizontal distance, yes or no? Similarly, if we talk about the compass surveying, as we have discussed yesterday in yesterday's class, the main objective is to measure the bearings. The main objective is to measure the bearings of any line. The main objective is to measure the bearing of line. Yes. And that bearing you can consider as the horizontal angle. That bearing you can consider as the horizontal angle. So for measurement of bearing, which instrument we are going to use? For measurement of the bearing, which instrument we can use? For measurement of the bearing, which instrument we can use? So we have two instruments. One is going to be the prismatic compass and another is surveyor compass. So we can use the prismatic compass or we can use the surveyor compass for the measurement of the bearings. As we have discussed, there are two types of the compass. One is prismatic compass, another is surveyor compass, having their own specification. So we have discussed some basic detail about the construction detail of the prismatic compass as well as surveyor compass in the yesterday's class. We have discussed some basic construction detail of the prismatic compass as well as of surveyor compass. Okay, no problem. Now, so let's move to the field. So now we are, let's say here we are using the prismatic compass for the measurement of the bearings. So let's see field work. So in the case of compass survey, how we can perform the field measurement and how we will get these observations. Let's say, for example, on a ground, this is the line point O, this is the point A, and this is the point B. If both these lines are lying on the same plane, let's consider as a ground. So there is a line OA and there is a line OB. So there are 3 points on the ground, that is O, A and B. O, A and B. Now if I want to measure this angle theta, how we can measure this angle theta? Now how can I measure this angle theta with the help of the compass? Do you have any idea? So let's consider this practical problem. There are two lines OA and OB on the ground and we want to measure this angle theta, and for that we are using the compass survey. For that we are using the prismatic compass. So let's say what we can do. First we will take the prismatic compass, fix the compass at O. Absolutely right. So we have, these are the points on the ground. Generally prismatic compass we are using with tripod. So there will be a tripod having the 3 leg and we will mount the compass on that tripod. So don't you think before taking some measurements, before performing some measurements, we need to perform some temporary adjustment? Before going for any measurement, any angular measurement, first we need to perform some temporary adjustment of the compass. So now let's talk about the what are the temporary adjustment of the compass. What are the various temporary adjustment in the case of compass surveying? So first understand what are the temporary adjustment. Before taking, whenever we will go for any survey, whenever we will use any instrument for taking the measurement or the observation, first we need to make sure the instrument as is at its correct working position. Yes or no? If the instrument is not adjusted properly, whatever measurements you are going to take, that are going to be incorrect. So before taking any measurement, we are going to make sure that instrument is properly working. Yes or no? Otherwise, there will be some instrumental error. Otherwise, there will be some instrumental error in our survey work, and that errors are not required. That errors are not desirable. We want to perform the measurement. We want to perform the error-free measurement. Can we say like this? So whenever we will use the compass, whenever we are going to take the observation with the help of the compass, first we need to perform some temporary adjustment. So what will be the first step? If you want to place the compass at point O, can I say the first and foremost thing that is required, that is the setting up of instrument. That is the setting up of the instrument. So we will place the tripod. We will place the tripod and we will place the compass over the tripod. Then after the basic setting up of the instrument, then we required centering. Then the next step is going to be the next temporary adjustment that is required is going to be the centering. Like we are using the compass, so we will place the compass such that the compass center and the point O should align. Point O is on the ground. Point O is on the ground, and here we are having the compass. So if we want to measure the angle between the line OA and OB, so compass should be properly aligned with the point O. The instrument and the point O on the ground should be in the same alignment. Yes or no? If we are not centering, what we can do? So for example, this was the line OA and this was the line OB. You have just set up the instrument. And you are measuring this angle. Theta. Can I say this theta will be the incorrect measurement? We have placed the compass at O dash. The ground station was O, but we have placed the compass such that this was the station, and we are measuring this angle theta. So can I say this will be the incorrect angle? This will be the incorrect angle because our requirement was to measure the angle between the line OA and OB. So before taking the measurement, we need to make sure that the instrument center and the point O is perfectly aligned. So how we can perform the centering? How we will be sure that the ground station point O and the instrument center are perfectly aligned? Yes, definitely. So with the help of the plumb bob, so below the compass there will be a hook. Below the compass there will be a hook. At that hook we can place a plumb bob. We can place the plumb bob, and wherever there is a ground station O, we will place a wooden peg. We will place the wooden peg at point O. So for example, this was the ground and this is your point O. So to locate this point O, we have installed a wooden peg here. To locate this point O, we have installed the wooden peg here. This was your tripod. And this was your compass. So now what we will do, here there will be a hook. On that hook, we will place a plumb bob, something like this. And In this way can be performed the centering of the compass. Before taking the measurement, we will make sure that this plumb bob line this plumb bob is at the point O. If there is any variation, we can adjust the leg of the tripod. We can adjust the leg of the tripod. Yes or no? We can shift the instrument to make this alignment perfect. We can shift our tripod, we can shift the compass to the new position to make this alignment perfect. Yes or no? So this was the concept of the centering. So first we will, what I will do, first I will set up the instrument. First I will set up the instrument, then we will go for the centering. Whenever, wherever we want to place the instrument, from which point we want to perform the measurement, we will perform proper centering of the compass. We will perform proper centering of the compass. I hope these two adjustments, these two, or the next adjustment after the centering, what more required? So after the centering, we will go for the leveling of the compass. After the centering, we have to go for the leveling of the compass. As you have discussed, in the case of prismatic compass, there was a magnetic needle. Yes or no? Graduated ring, you can say. There was a magnetic graduated ring in the case of prismatic compass, and that ring was hold on a pivot point. That ring was hold on a pivot point, something like this, and above that there was a glass. There was a transparent glass. Don't you think, if the instrument is not perfectly leveled, if the instrument is not perfectly level, it will interrupt the movement. It will interrupt the movement of the graduated ring. Yes or no? If the compass is not leveled, the graduated ring will not able to move freely. Will not able to move freely. Again, if this will be the situation, there will be error in your measurement. If this will be the situation, there will be the error in your measurement. So before before taking the measurement, we need to make sure that our compass is properly leveled. The needle, the graduated ring should be freely movable. There should be no disturbance due to the metal box or due to the glass. So due to the body of the compass, there should be no resistance, there should be no disturbance to the graduated ring. And we can ensure this by making the compass leveled about both the axes, x axis and y axis. So we can adjust the compass and we can say, yes, the needle is freely moving. If the needle is freely moving on that, if the graduated ring is freely moving on the compass, then we can say our compass is leveled. Then we can say our compass is leveled. So these are the three temporary adjustments required in the case of compass surveying. So first is going to be the setting up of the instrument. Second is going to be the centering of the compass. And third will be the, till now we have not performed any measurement. Till now we have not performed any measurement on the ground. So just we have simply set up the instrument at O. Then with the help of the plumb bob we will perform the centering. And after that we will perform the leveling. Whenever we will shift the position of the instrument, let's say after taking the observation from point O, I want to shift this compass at point A, let's say for example. So whenever we will shift the instrument from one position to another position, before taking the any measurement, Again we need to perform all these temporary adjustment. So if we are shifting our instrument from point O to point A, so when I will shift the instrument to the point A, first I will set up the instrument at point A. First I will set up the instrument at point A, then I will perform the centering of the compass at point A. Then after the leveling, our compass is ready for taking the observations. So can I say temporary adjustments are required whenever we will shift the instrument to the new position? Can we conclude like this? Whenever we are shifting the instrument, first of all, certain temporary adjustments are required before taking any measurement. Before taking any measurement. Can we say like this? Yes or no? Can we say like this? Okay. So with the help of this example, with the help of this explanation, I think what are the various temporary adjustment are required and how we can perform all these temporary adjustment in compass surveying. This discussion is clear to everyone. So again, let's come back to the main point. In the case of compass surveying, the main objective is to measure the bearing, and for that we can use the prismatic compass or we can use the surveyor compass. Okay. Now let's see. So in the case of compass survey, we are defining the two types of the bearing. In the case of compass survey, we are defining the two types of the bearing. Listen carefully. Sir, two types of the bearing. What are the two types of the bearing? What are the two types of the bearing? Sir, are you talking about the true bearing and magnetic bearing? Sir, are you talking about the true bearing and magnetic bearing? We have discussed about the two types of the bearing. Answer is no. Because with the help of the magnetic compass, we cannot measure the true bearing. With the help of the compass that we have discussed yesterday also. With the help of the compass, all the bearings that we are going to measure are going to be the magnetic bearing. Always we will measure the angle from the magnetic meridian. We are considering the magnetic meridian because with the help of the compass, we will able to locate the magnetic meridian only, na? With the help of the compass, we will able to locate the magnetic meridian. With the help of the compass, we will able to measure the magnetic north and magnetic south. So whatever measurements we are going to perform with the help of the compass, that are going to be the magnetic bearings of the line. So here two types of the magnet. Here I am all classifying the magnetic bearing in two category or in two types. So first is going to be the fore bearing. First is going to be the fore bearing and another is going to be the back bearing. Sir, I know the concept of the bearing. I know the concept of the bearing. There is no problem with this term. But what do you mean by this fore bearing and what do you mean by the back bearing? Let's see the discussion. So for example, these are the lines, these are the survey lines. Let's say for this is the station A, this is the station B, this is the station C, and this is the station D on the ground. And this is nothing but this is your open traverse. So we will discuss about the traverse in detail in the next chapter. But as of now I can say this is the open traverse. Traverse is the series of connected line. Series of connected survey line. Here you can see the line AB is connected to the line BC. Line BC is connected to the line CD. Can I say all these survey lines are connected to each other? So that's why we are using the term, this is your traverse. This is your traverse. Traverse are also of two types. Traverse are also of two types. One is going to be the open traverse. One is going to be the open traverse and another is going to be the closed traverse. One is open traverse and another is closed traverse. So how we can define the open traverse and closed traverse? If the start point and the end point of the traverse are the same point. If the starting point of the traverse and the end point of the traverse is the same point, we can say that traverse as a closed traverse. So let's say this is the traverse. So in this traverse you can say this is the station A, this is the station B, station C and station D. So here also the survey lines are connected to each other. AB line is connected to the BC, BC line is connected to the CD and CD line is connected to the DA. But as we can say, as we can see in this diagram, this traverse is starting from the station A. This traverse is starting from the station A and it is also ending on the station A. So here the start and end of the traverse is the same point and that is the point A. Here the start and end of the traverse is the same point and that is the point A. Can I say this is going to be the closed traverse? There will be a formation of the loop. From where we have started, we are ending the survey that at that point itself. Closed traverse may be of two types. Closed traverse may be of two types. One is the clockwise traverse, one is the anti-clockwise traverse. Depending upon the direction of survey, depending upon the direction of survey, there may be two types of the closed traverse. Depending upon the direction of survey, there may be a two types of the closed traverse. One is clockwise traverse, closed traverse, and another is anti-clockwise closed traverse. First one is the clockwise closed traverse and another is anti-clockwise closed traverse. So can you tell me the exact name of this traverse? Can you tell me the exact name, the complete name of this traverse? Yes. So as you can observe the direction, we are starting our survey from A, then we are moving to B, then we are moving to C, then we are moving to D. So can I say we are moving in the clockwise direction? We are moving in the clockwise direction. So this is your clockwise closed traverse. There may be one more situation. There may be one more situation. Let's say this is the traverse. This is also a closed traverse, but we are moving in the anti-clockwise direction. So this is your anti-clockwise closed traverse. This will be your anti-clockwise closed traverse. So what do you mean by the traverse? I hope this point is clear to everyone. So in the case of compass survey, we will measure the bearing, and if I talk about the measurement of the bearing in WCB system, so always we will measure the bearing, always we will measure the angle from the north in the clockwise direction. But depending upon the survey, we are defining the two types of the bearing. Depending upon the direction of survey, we are defining the two types of the bearing. So let's take the previous example. So this was the traverse. Let's say this is the station A, this is your station B, this is your station C, and this is your station D. If I talk about the direction of survey, we will start our survey from station A to B to C to D. So can I say left to right? Can I consider this direction as the direction of survey? We are moving from station A to station D. We are moving from station A to station D. Can I say this will be the direction of survey from left to right? Yes or no? This will be the direction of survey, yes or no? And we can consider this direction of survey as the forward direction. If we are moving in the direction of survey, can we say we are moving in the forward direction? If we are moving in the direction of survey, can we say we are moving in the forward direction? We are moving in the forward direction. Let's say if we are moving from station D to A, if we are moving from station D to A, can I say this will be the backward direction? This will be the backward direction. If we are moving in the direction of survey, we can say we are moving in the forward direction. If we are moving from station D to station A, that means opposite to the direction of survey. Can I say this will be considered as the backward direction? So I hope the concept of the forward direction and the concept of the backward direction is clear to everyone. The concept of the forward direction and the concept of the backward direction is clear to everyone. Yes or no? This point is clear to everyone, yes or no? Clear. Okay. So now, if I want to measure the bearing of the line AB, what we can say? So at station A, we can locate the magnetic meridian, and that magnetic meridian we can locate with the help of the compass. If I want to measure the bearing of the line AB, can I say we will measure the angle from the north in the clockwise direction? Let's say this angle is theta 1. Let's say this angle is theta 1. Yes or no? This theta 1 is going to be the bearing, because if we want to measure the bearing of any line, we will measure the angle from the north in the clockwise direction. We will measure the angle from the north in the clockwise direction. Similarly, if I want to measure the bearing of the line BC, I want to measure the bearing of the line BC. What I will do, I will measure this angle. Let's say this angle is going to be theta 2, and so on. So can I take this bearing of the line CD also? This angle is going to be theta 3. This angle will be theta 3, yes or no? Without any problem, can we measure all the bearings? All these bearings we have measured. Can I say in the direction of survey or in the forward direction? Theta 1, then theta 2, then theta 3. All these readings we have measured in the forward direction or the direction of survey. Yes or no? So that's why we are using the term that theta 1 is the forebearing of line AB. Similarly, theta 2 is the forebearing of line BC. Theta 3 is the forebearing of line CD. Can I use this terminology? All these bearings that we have measured in the direction of survey or in the forward direction, for that we are using the term that is the forebearing. For that we are using the term that is the forebearing. Yes or no? But for all of these lines, we can also measure one more angle. We can also measure one more bearing. Like, let's see. If we are measuring the angle, let me change the color. So let's say if I am measuring this angle from the north in the clockwise direction, Let's say this angle is alpha 1. For the line AB, we can measure one more bearing from the station B. We are measuring the angle from the north in the clockwise direction. This angle is going to be alpha 1. Can't we measure the bearing at D? For which line you will measure the for bearing? For which line? There is no further line. D is the end station. D is the end station. So we cannot measure the fore bearing of any line because there is no line. We will define the bearing, we will measure the bearing for particular line, na? If there is no further line, how we can measure the fore bearing? But from the station D, we can measure the back bearing. So let's say this alpha 1 you have measured. Similarly, for the line, this angle can we measure? This is going to be alpha 2. And can we measure this angle? This angle is going to be alpha 3. Yes or no? So how we can define this alpha 1, alpha 2 and alpha 3? So you are saying, sir, alpha 1 is going to be the back bearing of line AB. Alpha 2 is going to be the back bearing of line BC. And alpha 3 is the back bearing of line CD. See in the diagram carefully. All these angles alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3 we have measured in the opposite direction of the survey. We have measured in the backward direction of the survey, in the opposite direction of the survey. For that we are using the term back bearing. For that we are using the term back bearing. So can I say now, if I want to conclude, for any line in the case of compass survey, we can measure the two types of the bearing. For any line in the case of compass survey, we can take two bearing, we can measure two bearing. One can be fore bearing and another will be back bearing. Can we conclude like this? For any line, for AB line, we are having two bearing. One is fore bearing and another is back bearing. For BC line, we are having the two bearings, fore bearing, back bearing. For CD line, we are having the two bearing, fore bearing and back bearing. So for any line, can we measure the two bearing? And with the help of the tape, with the help of the chain or tape, can we measure all these length? Can we measure all these length L1, L2 and L3? With the help of the compass, we can measure the bearing. With the help of the tape or chain, can we measure the linear measurement? Can we perform the linear measurement? Can we measure these distances, yes or no? Yes, we can measure. So this was your survey work. So if I want to record the field data, in the case of compass surveying, this will be your field book. This will be your field book. This is going to be the format of the field book in the case of compass surveying, like this. In this format, we can record the data. So we are having the line. We are having the length of the line. We are having the fore bearing of the line. And we are having the back bearing of the same line. So let's say the example that we have discussed till now, we are having the line AB. We are having the line BC. We are having the line CD. This was your line AB. This was your line BC. This was your line CD. For all the lines, we have measured the length. Let's say this is going to be L1, L2 and L3. For the line AB, we are having the fore bearing as theta1, back bearing as alpha 1. For the line BC, we are having the fore bearing at theta 2 and back bearing as alpha 2. For the line CD, we are having the fore bearing at theta 3 and back bearing as alpha 3. And back bearing as alpha 3. This is your complete field book of the compass surveying. This is the format of the field book. So we will measure these L1, L2, L3 with the help of the chain or tape. With the help of the chain or tape, and theta and alpha we will measure from the with the help of the compass. Do we require two field book? This is the page, this is the format of the field book. Why you require two field book? Why you require two field book? So let's say this is your field book. This is your field book. This is your field book. So yes, in this way we can record the data. In this way we can record data. Ultimately we have to bring all the ground data into the office. So in a same table, in a same format, you are also representing the length. You are also representing the fore bearing and back bearing of all the lines. The discussion till now is clear to everyone? The discussion till now is clear to everyone, yes or no? So now let's come back to the original problem. And the original problem was, this was the ground station O, this was the A, and this was the B. I want to measure this angle theta with the help of the compass. So now let's see the field work. Now let's see the field work. Try to visualize how we can measure this angle with the help of the compass in the field. So we cannot measure this angle with the help of the compass. We cannot measure this angle with the help of the compass. With the help of the compass, we can measure the bearing of any line. Yes or no? So with the help of the compass, only we can measure the bearing. That's it. That may be the fore bearing, that may be the back bearing. That is not concern. But if you talk about the compass surveying, in the compass surveying, we can just measure the bearing. That's it. Okay, no problem. So with the help of the bearings, we can calculate this angle very easily. With the help of this bearing, we can calculate this angle very easily. Now what we will do? Listen carefully. Now what we will do? So first we will place the compass at station O. First we will set up the compass at station O. Then we will perform all the temporary adjustment. Then we will perform all the temporary adjustment at station O, like setting up of the compass, centering of the compass, and leveling of the compass. Done. Temporary adjustments are done at station O. Temporary adjustments are done at station O. Okay. Now what we will do? We will take a ranging rod. Here at station O, we have placed the compass. We have set up the compass. Now what we will do? We will take a ranging rod. And that ranging rod we are going to place at first at station A. Let's say here I have placed a ranging rod. So we have the known position of the point A, and at point A we have installed a ranging rod. Yes or no? Can we place the ranging rod like this at station A? You know, in your compass there was two sides. One was the eyepiece, eye side, and another was the objective side. Here we have provided the prism. Do you remember? In the case of prismatic compass, there was two sides. One was the eye side another was the objective side. So when we will set up the instrument at O, with the help of this compass, can we locate the position of the magnetic meridian? Can we locate the position of the magnetic meridian with the help of the compass at station O? Yes or no? Without any problem, whenever we have placed the instrument at O, let's say any, this is the position of the magnetic meridian, no problem. That magnetic meridian we can locate with the help of the compass at any station. So we have located the magnetic meridian at station O. We have located the magnetic meridian at station O with the help of the prismatic compass. I hope the story till now is clear to everyone. I hope the story till now is clear to everyone. Now what I will do? From station O, we will sight the ranging rod that we have placed at the station A. So situation will be something like this. So let's say this is your compass and this is the ranging rod at A. Visualize कर पा रहे हैं? Are you able to see the ranging rod at station A? So let's say this, consider this pen as a ranging rod at the station A, and this is the position of the compass at station O. In the compass there are two sides, eye sides is there, objective side is there. So now what I will do, from the station O, I will sight this point A. So here there will be the eye side, here there will be the objective side, and this is your ranging rod. So I will do the proper sighting of the point A. I will sight the ranging rod that we have placed at the point A from the station O. From the station O. And if there is a proper sighting, can I say this ranging rod, this objective, and this eye should be perfectly aligned? All these points, eye side, objective side, and the ranging rod should be in the same line of action. So this is the concept of the sighting. This is the concept of the sighting. For that we are using the ranging rod. So Riya, your doubt is clear now? You are asking this doubt from yesterday's class. Now I think the point is clear. What do you mean by the sighting? All these points now are in the same line of action, are in the same line. Now we can say we have sighted the point A or the ranging rod that we have placed at A correctly. So this is the feature of your prismatic compass. Now you can take these observations. So can we say now we can measure this angle? Let's say this angle is going to be theta 1, or if I am not wrong, so theta 1 is nothing but it is the forebearing of the line OA. Can I say like this? With the help of the compass, we cannot measure this theta angle directly, but no problem. We can measure bearing of any line. We can measure bearing of any line. Yes or no? So what we have done, we have simply measured the bearing with the help of the compass of the line OA, and that angle we have measured from the magnetic north in the clockwise direction. From the magnetic north in the clockwise direction. Yes or no? Now what I will do, I will remove this ranging rod from point A. I will remove this ranging rod from point A, and now I will place this ranging rod at point B. If you have two ranging rods, then I don't have any problem. If we have multiple ranging rod, then I don't have any problem. Place one more ranging rod at point B. Place one more ranging rod at point B. Now what I will do? From the station O, now we will sight the point B. So this is going to be the eyepiece. This is going to be the objective piece. And this is your ranging rod. We will make our sighting like this. Again, all these points are in the same line. All these points should be in the same line. So again, can we measure this angle? Again, can we measure this angle? Yes. So now we are going to measure this angle. Now we are going to measure this angle, and let's say this angle is theta 2. This angle is theta 2. And if I am not wrong, this theta 2 is nothing but it is the forebearing of the line OB. Yes or no? So simply we have measured the bearings of both the lines OA and OB with the help of compass. Any problem to anyone till now? Any problem to anyone till now? Any doubt, any query? How we are measuring this angle, sir? How we are measuring the bearing of the line OA? How we are measuring the bearing of the line OB? If anyone having any doubt, any query till now, you can ask your doubt, you can ask your query. So with the help of the compass, I didn't understand the bearing of the OB. What will be the bearing of the OB? What will be the bearing of the OB? We will measure the angle from the north in the clockwise direction. So as you measure the bearing of the line OA, similarly we can measure the bearing of the line OB. That reading you will get from the compass. When you will sight the line OB, when you will sight the point OB properly, so what will be the angle, what will be the bearing, that you will get with the help of the prismatic compass. How it is forebearing? Because this is your original main station from O to A and O to B. If you have any problem, let's say consider only bearing, no problem with that. If you are getting confused, we can simply consider bearing of, we can say this is the bearing of OA and this is the bearing of OB. Now it's fine. If you are getting confused with the direction, can I simply say this theta 1 is the bearing of the line OA and theta 2 is the bearing of the line OB? Now it's fine. Now it's fine. No problem. So my question was simple. Can we, with the help of the prismatic compass, can we measure these bearings of the lines OA and OB on the field? Can we measure these bearings of the line OA and OB on the field with the help of the compass? Or again, always we will measure the bearing from the north in the clockwise direction. From the north in the clockwise direction, if we are representing the bearing in WCB system. And yes, here we are representing the bearings in WCB system only, because as you can see all the bearings, there is only theta. So in which system we are working with? In which system we are working with in this example? So we are working with the whole circle bearing system. We are working with the whole circle bearing system. So now, with the help of these bearings, can I measure this angle theta? So this theta is nothing but this is going to be theta 2 minus theta 1. This theta will be equal to nothing but theta 2 minus theta 1. Refer the diagram. Refer the diagram. So with the help of the measurement of the bearing, we have just calculated the angle. With the help of the bearing, we have calculated the angle. So now this point is clear, I hope, कि how we can measure the angle with the help of the compass. How we can measure the angle with the help of the compass. This point is clear to everyone. So in actual, we are measuring the bearings. That's it. In actual, with the help of the compass, we can measure the bearing. But with the help of the bearing, we can calculate any desired angle. So this is the simple example that I have taken to understand this point, कि how we can measure any angle with the help of the bearing. Directly we cannot measure this theta from the compass survey. This is the point. If you want to measure this angle theta, if you want to know about this angle theta, you need to calculate, you need to measure the bearings. So we have derived this theta from the bearings, because with the help of compass only we can measure the bearing. I hope the discussion till now is clear to everyone. I hope the discussion till now is clear to everyone. So we have discussed about the temporary adjustment of the compass. We have discussed about the field measurement and data collection. And we have discussed one example through which now we have understood how we can measure any angle with the help of the compass by measuring the bearings of the line. Everyone please confirm in the chat box if the discussion till now is clear to everyone. Now if you are having any doubt, any query, you can ask. Now if you are having any doubt, any query, you can ask. Dadan, all the points are clear? Please confirm in the chat box, beta. Everyone please confirm in the chat box if the discussion is clear to everyone. So now we have discussed about the fore bearing and we have also discussed about the back bearing. So bearing measured from one station to adjacent next station in the direction of traverse or in the direction of traverse or in the direction of survey is known as the fore bearing. Similarly, if I talk about the back bearing, the bearing measured from one station to the adjacent previous station in the direction opposite to the traverse. In the direction opposite to the traverse is known as the back bearing. So in the case of compass survey, we are going to measure only these two bearings. That's it. Rest we will calculate. As we have calculated the theta, so if you required any angle, that angle you can calculate with the help of the fore bearing and back bearing. So if I talk about the measurement in the compass surveying, so in the case of compass surveying, we will measure the bearing. We will measure the two types of the bearing. One is if we are measuring the bearings in the direction of survey or in the forward direction, we can term all those bearings at the fore bearing, and we are taking the measurements opposite to the direction of survey. We can say those readings as the back bearing. So what are the various measurements that we are going to perform in the case of compass surveying? I hope This point is also clear to everyone. Yes or no? Can we draw one more important conclusion? Can we draw one more important conclusion for any line? For any line. For any line. This is very important property that we are going to discuss. Yes, yes. If you are not feeling well, yes, take care, beta. Take care. I'm also not feeling well today, but we will have some discussion. So if you are not feeling well, yes, definitely you can leave the class and take rest. Make sure you are taking proper rest and take care of yourself. Okay. So I am going to draw a very important conclusion. I am going to draw a very important conclusion. Let's say, for example, this is the line AB. This is the line AB. Listen carefully. So, if I want to measure the forebearing of the line AB, we will measure the forebearing, and this forebearing is going to be, let's say, theta 1. From station A to the next station, that is going to be the forebearing that we are measuring from the north in the clockwise direction. That's why we are saying this is the forebearing of the line AB. This is the forebearing of the line AB. Similarly, if I want to measure the back bearing of the same line, so what I will do? We will measure the bearing from station B from the north in the clockwise direction. Let's say this angle is going to be alpha 1. Let's say this angle is going to be alpha 1. So I can write here theta 1 is going to be the forebearing of line AB, and alpha 1 is going to be the back bearing of line AB. Can I write like this? Alpha 1 is the theta 1 is the forebearing of the line AB, and alpha 1 is the back bearing of the line AB. Can I write like this? I think there is no problem with that. There is no problem with that, yes or no? So, what will be the difference of the forebearing and back bearing? And I am also considering the mod value. I am also considering the mod value. So if I want to take the difference of the forebearing and back bearing, and I am considering the mod value, what will be? Yes, so this is going to be 180 degree. This is going to be 180 degree. So for example, if we are extending this line, if this angle is theta 1, this angle will also equal to theta 1. Yes or no? And I can write alpha 1 minus theta 1 is going to be 180 degree. This angle is going to be 180 degree. Yes or no? And this is nothing but alpha 1 minus theta 1. So now can we draw this important conclusion for any line? For any line, the difference between the forebearing and the back bearing of that line should be equal to 180 degree. For any line, the difference between the forebearing and the back bearing should be equal to 180 degree. And if we are getting the difference as 180 degree, if we are getting the difference of the forebearing and back bearing as 180 degree, can I say we have performed correct measurement for the forebearing and the correct measurement for the back bearing? This may be the possibility. If both these readings are going to be correct, then only we will get the difference at 180 degree. If any angle, if theta 1 is incorrect or the alpha 1 is incorrect, in that case we will not get the difference of the forebearing and back bearing as 180 degree. We will not get the difference as 180 degree, yes or no? So this is the very important conclusion that we will use in the upcoming topics. So the next topic that we will discuss about in the important topic that we will discuss in the case of compass survey, that is going to be the local attraction. The local attraction is the one of the most important topic from your compass surveying. From your compass surveying. So on that topic, this conclusion is going to be very useful for all of you. That we will cover. Okay. So can we conclude the included angle? Yes. The back bearing of a line can be determined if its forebearing is given. So if we know the forebearing, so from this relation, we can also calculate the back bearing of the line. Yes or no? If we know the back bearing of any line, with the help of this relation, we can find out the forebearing of any line. Yes or no? As we know, the difference of the forebearing and back bearing will be always equal to 180 degree. How? With the help of this relation. With the help of this relation. So for example, if forebearing of the line is 20 degree, so what will be the back bearing? If the forebearing of the line is given as 20 degree, what will be the back bearing? So just try to locate this line. So for example, this angle they have given as 20 degree. This is your line AB. How? See, this is the 20 degree, na? This is the 20 degree and you are considering this angle as the forebearing of the line AB. Yes or no? Just try to locate the line, na? 20 degree will lie on the first quadrant. Yes. And if I talk about the back bearing of the line, so this is going to be the back bearing. So you can extend this line. You can use the same property. So if this angle is 20, this angle will also equal to 20 degree. So back bearing will be equal to 180. Back bearing will be equal to 180 plus 20. That will be equal to 200 degree. That will be equal to 200 degree. That you can find directly. That you can find directly from this relation also. That's why I am saying it is very important property. For any line, the difference between the forebearing and the back bearing will be equal to 180 degree. So if we know any one reading, if we know the forebearing, we can find out the back bearing. If we know the back bearing, we can find out the forebearing. So that is the point that is mentioned here. The back bearing of a line can be determined if its forebearing is given and vice versa. If we know any bearing, if we know forebearing, we can calculate the back bearing. If we know back bearing, we can calculate the forebearing. Yes or no? Yes or no? Similarly, included angle can be computed if the bearing of lines are known. Included angle you can calculate if you know all the bearings of the line. If you know all the bearings of the line, you can calculate the included angle. So here you can see, this is your anti-clockwise traverse. This is your anti-clockwise traverse from A to B, C, D, E. So these angles are going to be the interior angle, and this angle you will consider as the exterior angle. So now the discussion, how we can calculate this interior or exterior angle with the help of the bearings of the line, that I have already explained. I am just summarizing all these points. To see calculation of the included angle from the bearing. See carefully. If the bearing of the adjacent lines are known, then the included angle may be calculated as follows. Given whole circle, if you know the bearings of all the lines in WCB system, if you know the bearing of all the lines, for example, here are the line OA, here is the line OB, and here is the line, sorry, here is the line OA, AB, and BO. And if you know the if you know the bearings of all the lines in WCB system, if you know the bearings of all the lines in the WCB system, how you can calculate the included angle? Let's see. So, in a clockwise traverse, OAB, as you can see in the diagram, OA is the forward line. Next line is BO is the previous line. So, if this is the clockwise traverse, this is the forward bearing and this is the back line, BO. So, let whole circle bearing of the line OA is alpha. Whole circle bearing of the line OA is, this angle is, let's say, alpha, and we know this angle. And the line OB is beta. If I talk about the line OB, this angle is given as beta. Yes. So how we can say included angle is going to be angle AOB equal to theta. The same example that we have considered. So if I want to write in the terms of formula, so I can say fore bearing of the forward line, that is the line OA, and back bearing of the previous line, and that is the line BO. To find out the theta, what we have done? So in the case of clockwise traverse, can I say alpha minus beta will be equal to the equal to the included angle? Obviously, as you can see in the diagram, alpha is having the less value, beta is having the more value. Alpha is having the less value and beta is having the more value. So when you will go for the alpha minus beta, you will get a negative value. You will get a negative value, yes or no? So in that case, add 360. If you are getting the negative value, add 360. So same example we have taken. I have just written this example in the form of equation, or you can say in the form of formula. But no need to remember any formula. You can solve all these problems with the help of the basic. If all the bearings are given in QB or RB system, so no need to remember all the things. What we will do? We will simply convert all the RB or QB readings in WCB system, and that we can do very easily. If they have provided bearings of all the line in the WCB, in the RB or QB system, what is the easy approach? We can convert all those readings from RB or QB system to the WCB system. Yes or no? And once we know all the bearings in the WCB system, this will be the case. This will be the case. And I have mentioned earlier also, sometimes it will be difficult if you are working with the RB or QB system. There may be some chances of the error. There may be some chances of the error. So always it is recommended that work with the whole circle bearing system. In the case of whole circle bearing system, you have less chance of error. So if they have provided all the bearings in the RB or QB system, we can simply convert these readings in the WCB system. Then we will get the case 1. And for this case, how we can conclude the included angle that we have just discussed? Yes or no? For this case, how we can conclude the included angle that we have just discussed? So this is going to be the approach. So these are the measurements that we are going to perform. In the case of compass surveying. Let's summarize all the things. We can simply measure the bearings depending upon the direction of survey. We can define the 2 types of the bearings, or we can measure the 2 types of the bearing. for any line. We can measure the fore bearing, we can measure the back bearing, and with the help of those bearings, we can calculate any angle that is required. With the help of the bearings, we can calculate any angle that is required. So I hope what are the various measurements that we are going to perform in the case of compass surveying, how we are collecting the field data, how we are measuring the fore bearing, how we are measuring the back bearing, and with the help of the bearings, how we are calculating the angle. All these points are clear to everyone. All these points are clear to everyone, yes or no? All these points are clear to everyone. So if the discussion till now is clear to everyone, please confirm in the chat box. So this was the discussion for this class. In the next class, I'm not feeling well completely, but I will try to take the class. Don't worry for that. So next class will be start from 9:30 and we will cover very important topic, and that is going to be the local attraction. So from that topic, the class may be of the shorter duration. Your comments are visible. Your comments are visible, Ria, don't worry. So we will have the short discussion in the next class, and we are going to discuss about the local attraction. So do join the class on the time. The class will start from 9:30 as usual. So this was all about for this class. Thank you everyone. Keep learning, beta. Thank you.